I've recorded a short demonstration on a very interesting flute by Thibouville Buffet. You may know that there are many companies that have the name Thibouville incorporated in them. I think there are at least 14 different companies, and these were owned by different members of the family. Many of them were owned by the same members of the family, and they just switched around with different partners. So this was someone from the Thibouville family and someone from the Buffet family. I've had a couple of flutes by them, which have been very good. This one is particularly nice and particularly interesting. This flute is about as complete as a flute gets from the French simple system designs. It, for one thing, has a B foot, which is quite unusual. Most French flute music from this time only goes down to D, and the adoption of the C foot was very much to be able to play foreign music, and the B is, of course, along those same lines. It has other special keys. Here for the left hand is another C key. The normal C key on the keyed simple system flute is played with the right hand, so you have a version of C with the left hand and a version of C for the right hand. You have a high E to D trill key, which is here. And a very important extra key is this one, which is known as the Toulouse F sharp. The idea here was that on simple system flutes, the F sharp is usually quite flat. On the Baroque flute, it's very flat, basically a pure interval with a D. On the keyed flute, the proper fingering for an F sharp includes the F key. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and the F key, and that raises it a little bit, but it's still flat. So Toulouse invented this key on the back of the flute, which raises it all the way to an equal tempered F sharp. So you have three actual usable choices for F sharp, or in the lower octave. It actually is useful musically to have at least the Toulouse F sharp plus the one with the short F key. This flute is in excellent condition. I don't know the history of when it was last restored, but the pads on the body seem to be really good. The three pads for the low notes on the foot are not very good, and so the foot does not seal. I also discovered in the midst of making this recording that the C sharp key was kind of sitting in a downward position, making the low D not work correctly. And so I added a little rubber band in there to keep that key up, unless one actually wants to have it go down. The piece that I'm going to play for the demonstration is a piece called Normandie, which was written by Cottignies, Charles Cottignies. It's a popular song that, especially in the Normandy region of France, was very well known in the 19th century and is still known today. This version of the piece is from a manuscript that I own. I haven't ever found a printed version of this, so if anybody runs into one, I would be interested in seeing it. There are a few things I forgot to mention when I was making my video demonstration yesterday of this Thibouville Buffet flute. One is that the dates given by Langwell for the company are 1857 to 1864, but he also tells us that they exhibited at the Paris exhibitions in 1878 and 1889, which, according to his own numbers, would have been quite a while after the company had closed. That seems a little strange. Also, I would not date this flute until after 1864. I would say it's around 1875 to 1880, pretty close to the time range when they exhibited at the Paris exhibition. The other thing I wanted to mention is the pitch of this flute, which is somewhat unusual in that it works extremely well at A440. Many French flutes will play at A440 with the head joint pushed all the way in. In other words, it's the highest pitch they can play. Or the high-pitched French flutes will play at 440 with the head joint pulled quite a ways out. So neither of those are really optimal. What is best on a flute like this is to have the head joint pulled out maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 millimeters. And so this flute is really ideal at A440 and will play as high as, I'd say, A444 quite reasonably. So you can use it, with a German modern pitch orchestra at a quite high pitch. It also will play down at A435, which was a very popular pitch in France throughout the 19th century.